Hello and welcome to the Real on Parenting. I
Yes,
am Coach
welcome,
Kiana Shaw,
welcome. And I'm therapist Danielle.
and, and we are laughing. I'm probably
Yes.
laughing to keep from crying.
I'm more in shock, kind of like, you know how you laugh like that? That can't be true. So,
It is so
you for
true.
real, for real?
I'm for
Hmm.
real, for real. So listen, we're talking
Interesting.
about, in our last episode, we talked about dating and co-parenting, right? And the
Yeah.
things that come with it. And there's a lot that you were talking about this morning before I pressed record. You were talking about just that co-parenting piece, like, and just how that has to be considered, like blending, right? A little bit.
Yes, yes. When I think,
Speak up a little
no,
bit for me.
I know. Oh, okay. I know that when a person is pursuing or interested or dating someone that has children, there can be that wishful thinking in regards to filters, if you will, filters in
Right.
regards to what they have to do, what they can do, what they want to do, what they perceive is going to, how things are going to be with the kids or with the other parents. And it's not about you. It really is not about you. Especially if you have someone, if you have your person you're pursuing, dating, is an active parent.
Right.
They
Which you should not
should
be
be.
dating somebody who's not an active parent. So that's a whole nother
That's a lesson with
show.
the next. Right. Hold that in your mental space, okay? Because that
Right.
spoke a word to somebody who I don't think they openly accepted it, but they should. But but when you are dating someone who is a parent, who is an active parent, there's going to be many times where I don't want to say you're going to be pushed to the side, but you have to figure out where you fit in, and
Right.
within
Because you can't
that,
always be at the top. You can't be a priority when someone
right,
has
right.
kids.
Yeah, and so with that, there's a lot of sacrifice,
Hmm.
and not in a negative way, but sacrifice and more so of just really understanding the situation. Everybody's family dynamics is different, but really need to be aware of what does this look like, and is this something that I want for me? And because it's not going to stop, you know what I mean?
Right. Because these kids are here, right? Like
You know what I mean?
it's an 18-year
And
commitment. I don't care what year you come in, it's still
right, but
18
even
more.
as adult children, there still are kids,
Right.
so and there's factors that play into that, but you need to be realistic with yourself and ask yourself, do I really want this in this way for me?
Right.
Because what you can't do is go in talking about telling your partner what they're going to do regarding their kids or their
Yes.
child.
Yes.
So that's something I feel that really, really needs to keep in the forefront, and just being honest with yourself first and
And
whoever you're
in
dating.
dating, you got to be willing to have those hard conversations. What are
Right.
your
It's in the
insecurities?
communication.
Because I'm not dating somebody that has, and I've had this a gentleman say, like, you're too cool with your daughter's father. Like, I don't want to be a third wheel. You're not. You're
Right.
not. You're
Yeah,
not a
that's
third. Like we're cool because we need to be able to communicate. We have a whole child
right.
together. There has to be communication. Well, she's old enough to
There
talk to him for
should.
herself. Yeah, but
Yeah.
there are certain conversations that are between
Yes.
are between parents. They have nothing. Like, yeah, they may be about her, but these are adult conversations. She doesn't need to be a go between for
Right. And I was
adults.
just about to say, I need that red flag, because I'm glad you're no longer talking to that person, because that's a red flag.
Listen,
That's a person
because
that's
the
showing
first
and saying
flag,
so
I'd be
many
like, do,
words.
do, 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 do. Hit that block button,
Right.
hit the delete button, the backspace.
Right, because if that has been your experience, just being as a parent, and
Yes.
or that's you said that shows that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but just understand that that is not the dynamic for you.
Right.
How dating someone that already has children is not for you. If you feel some type of way related to your who you're pursuing actually being cultural, cordial,
Right.
you know, with their ex, you know,
Right.
or you know, the
Because
other
why do
parent.
we
If
have to be
anything,
beefing with everybody that we're no longer with? We are
right,
just not good for each other. It doesn't mean you're not a good person. It doesn't mean I'm not a good person. We're just not good together. So let's split up so that we can maintain a friendship because romantically, or even if it wasn't romantic in the dating phase, but
right.
because I have male friends and we're just not compatible in our thought
Mhm.
processes sometimes it's our timing, sometimes it's you know, how you feel about these issues will never sit well with me,
Right,
right? Well, it could be
right.
your political stance, your religious stance. So let's just be cool, right? But we are cool and we can talk about anything. Why would
Right.
that not be with a person I didn't had a whole kid with?
Right, right. And
And
I was saying
when
that
you're
that just
dating,
speaks to their unhealed parts of themselves. They need
right.
to go on
And
and address that.
what they knew growing up. Because again, my
Right.
parents
And
were
also probably
always
what they
able to
experience. Right.
communicate. When they broke
Yeah.
up, my parents communicate. Now, when we got older, no longer. But as we were growing up, they
Mhm.
communicated very well, as far as I could tell.
Mhm.
Right. Like, and so that's all I know. I don't know the go between. I'm not going to talk to your girlfriend about picking up I don't have any kids with
Mhm.
her. I'm going to talk
Right.
to you because you are
And
the
it's not her
parent.
responsibility. Right, right, right,
Right. Even
right.
though a lot of people try to dump their parental responsibilities on their significant
On
other,
this, right,
that's not
right.
a real thing. Like you gotta,
And that's
and
not
I'm
your
not saying
role.
be with somebody who doesn't want to help because it's silly to
There's a
marry
difference.
somebody and you gonna be a
Yeah.
single
And
parent
there's
when
a
you get
clear
married.
difference with that though. But there's a difference with that. And with that, like
Absolutely.
you said, there has to be just consistent communication and talking about those difficult and just uncomfortable things.
Right. And we don't
Um,
need the communication to be aggressive and we don't need it to be
right. It doesn't
volatile.
have to be an argument.
Like,
Yeah. It
hey, how
really
you
can be a
doing? You
conversation.
good? Okay. I'm, just the pleasantries. And now
Hmm.
I need to talk to you about something like that. That shouldn't be a red flag to your partner. It should be a
Yeah.
red flag to your partner if you have nothing but negative things to say about this person. That's the red flag for me anyway. You, so you spent 5 years with a person and they were horrible from day one?
Yeah.
That sounds like bad decision making on your part.
I would agree to that. That is too
They've
funny.
been a bad
But
person the whole time and you stayed.
right,
So
right,
on the first
right,
date they were bad.
right,
And then you
right.
got married.
And
Okay.
then you pursue the relationship. So, but I kind of want to go back. I want to share of myself just a little bit. So
Let's
because
go.
within just a little bit though, because you know how I am. But within that though, things to because before I got married, you know, obviously I was dating my husband. My
Hmm.
husband had kids. I had no children.
Hmm.
And there was things that we talked about. When I say day one, even before we identified each other as a couple, because I was very clear and he was very clear
Right.
of what we expected and what we wanted. Um, and there was questions for to allow for understanding because what somebody's perception of something can be totally different as for the
Totally
understanding and
different.
perception of others, or the other person. But one thing that so when we initially started dating, we dated for or recorded each other because we identified each other as boyfriend and girlfriend for
Hmm.
about 6 to 8 months.
Right. Which is
And
so sound. That is just sound. You know what I mean? Like this mindset of when we talk 3 times, like you mine.
right, right. So, and we were both at different places in our lives where we both individually had things we needed to address and things we wanted to accomplish outside of
Mhm.
each other.
Right.
So there was that difficult decision like, I do like you. I am still very interested in you. However, I need to handle this.
Right. Because
And
life is happening.
if it's meant to be, then hey, we will see. And so it was a good maybe what year and a half, 2 years later, and hey, it was meant to be. And granted, it doesn't always end up that way,
Right.
but it was when I say the conversations was for real.
Right.
I wanted to know, okay, how many kids you got? What did those relationships look like? girl, oh my God, I'm for real. Like, what you
Right,
want for?
because
Like, I
not
mean,
just the ones you hang out with. Like
right,
how many out
exactly.
there?
What's the total?
Yeah,
Whether you're active in their life or not, and he's active in all. But I'm just saying, but I just met
right.
him, so
But that's a
you
real
got
question. Like,
kids.
how many people claim you got a kid with them? Like,
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't ask that. I didn't ask that one. Y'all take note
that's all
because if she
right.
over here dropping gems,
I know your husband. Like, yeah, he is a stand-up guy. And yeah, if somebody come out, I'm gonna be like, you're lying.
yeah,
You're lying
so
because
right.
the way
He
he
would have
feel
said
about
he
his kids, we're not
right,
gonna
and
play
then
that.
when it father everybody like that ain't our damn kid. Okay, I love everybody, but come on now, I got a limit. But anyway, so but with that, it was asking of understanding what was those relationships like with their mother.
Right.
Why did those relationships end? And granted, you didn't have to go into grave detail up front, but one thing
But I
about
need
me, I'm
some
gonna get the
detail.
information. Okay, I'm gonna get the information that I need to know so I can determine: is this something that am I going to continue to pursue him or have him pursue me?
Right.
So, and then also having different interactions to see it.
Hmm.
People can talk a good game and it sounds nice, but let's be around some people.
Right.
The aunties and uncles, they can tell your business. They don't care. They be slipping up. Old folks, no disrespect, but they can tell your business. So
Listen.
you need to see if the business match what he told me. So with that, in our conversations, they were ongoing. It wasn't a one-time thing, or we talked about it once. Remember on the first day we talked? No, it was an ongoing conversation on, are we still on the same track?
Right.
Are we still wanting the same things? Have you had any change of heart or thoughts or whatever? And even on his, same to him as far as me, because that person can be awesome and no disrespect, but they kids can be something totally different. Okay, they can be baby's kids. Okay, they can. And what's the old girl that name? Actually, I don't even want to reference movies, but we all can understand the typical unfortunate societal role model
So
of the
Robert
baby.
Harris
You
say,
know,
I thought the
you,
devil was through when he made Rosemary's Baby. And no, no, now we
so,
got babies.
so, and that in itself, because he could be an awesome guy, but then is his kid.
Right.
And
Because
my kids are
that
great.
impacts you. That
That
impacts
can
your
break.
mental health, right?
That can
If
break the
his
deal.
kids are terrorizing and then you have a kid, not and I have to be honest, I have been like, nah, I'm cool. Like I hear how your kids speak. I I don't want my daughter into that. You understand what I'm saying? So
Right,
I can't.
right.
I have to be conscious of that because if your kids are bad, if they cussing and banging and
And
like
then clearly we
I
parent differently,
right
and
and
that's
what you
okay.
can't do is come in here and then be like because I run a tight ship. I run a tight ship. Like I'm like mental, physical, emotional, financial, spiritual, professional check. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
every
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
So if your kids are a negative influence, and I know that there's a possibility that they might come live with us one day, it's not going to work.
Right,
It's not going to work. And I've
right.
seen that happen. I've known people. It's like, okay,
I've lived it as
their
a
parent
child.
passed away. Their parent went to jail. Their parent is
Yeah.
mentally incapable of taking care of them. So now they're at your home and they are terrorizing you. They won't listen to you because that other parent said they didn't have to. And now that other parent not even here and they still feel like they don't have to. It's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Right, right. And there's so many like the very examples that you get. There's so many circumstances of things that happens, but had that hard conversation happen up front, it
Right.
really would have minimized a lot of the life happening aspect.
Right.
But within that, then there's a part of, okay, when do you feel, and I asked my husband this, when do you feel is an ideal time frame that you would want me to meet your kids? And then I told him what my ideal time frame when I felt comfortable meeting our kids. His time
Right.
frame was shorter than mine. Either way, both of them were still long. but, but because his was more like a 10-month situation. I was like, I need a year because I wanted to know
You like,
for
I'll meet them when I'm walking down the aisle.
because I wanted to make sure in regards to him and us How are
Right.
we doing?
Right.
How are we communicating? How is he managing the schedule, the visits, the drop off, the things how is that being
Right. Are you
managed?
canceling? Are you,
Right,
if I
right.
want to do
Are
something,
you
do
really
you drop your
there? Are you
kids so that you can come
exactly?
hang with
I
him?
wanted to see the consistency of that. So,
Right.
granted, I didn't tell him. I gave him a range because people hold on to them time frames because the representative be real, real strong. So I gave him a time frame but I was observing certain things for a reason because it's like
Yes.
obviously I'm dating for marriage. We had that conversation. And then
Right.
there's a part of because if we're getting married, he's going to be the father of my child. So I need to see what he's doing now.
Right.
And
And if it
regardless
doesn't
if
work
he,
out in your marriage, you need to be able to reference how he's going to be with your child moving forward. Right.
right,
Because if he was
right,
dropping them so that he could hang with you, you have a baby
ex-
that may not change. He might still be dropping your child to go hang out with the next. You understand what I'm saying?
exactly,
Now I want to
right,
do a full
right,
disclosure. Her husband ain't leaving.
right. Thank
They
you.
like, yeah, please understand. She ain't letting him go and he ain't walking out. Okay.
I
I love
appreciate
y'all's
that.
marriage. I love y'all's marriage. I do.
Thank you. But with that, very, very, very true. And something I want to say, and I always tell people not to be mean, but you're not special. In the aspect of
Hello.
when somebody shows you who they are, you are not an exclusion to who they are. They
Ooh,
are who they
wait.
are.
Run it
So,
back. Say that
so
again. Start with
when
you ain't
people,
special and say it all over.
so you're not special, but but when someone shows you who they are, when he shows you who he is, when she shows you who she is, you are not an exclusion to
Right.
who they're showing you they are. Oh, I thought and I wish. Yo, bad. Because they showed you from day one and it was very consistent whether you liked it or not.
Hmm.
So that was things that I was looking for within that year time frame. What is he consistent with? Granted, everybody human, don't get me wrong. Things happen. But what is he consistent with? What is his character?
Right.
And do I even want to be around him like that for that long? Okay. So then from there, and it's like, okay, I can meet the kid. And then my kids are great. It was all gravy from there, for give or take. When you're dealing with the girls, a little bit of tussling going on. We
Right.
we
Right.
understand our role and our position, but
Listen, as an adult, I was looking at my daddy like, you better tell her.
right, right, and that's I think that can
Shout
be a
out to
whole
my
nother
bonus
actually
mom.
episode. I think that could be a whole nother episode when you're dealing with the girlies, but within that, then it's like, okay, boom, we're together. We're an
Mhm.
item. We're a couple, and kids are around. We met the kids. We're doing things together. Birthdays are popping up. Holidays are popping up. You know, things that will require communication and possibly meeting the other parent, which I'm okay with. Me
Right.
personally. But within that, there was that part of there was that transition. I'm just call it a transition, because my husband is older than I am,
Mhm.
and there was that perception that because I was younger, uh, I was at. She didn't know me. She know me now, but she didn't know me then. So
And
there was
shout out
that
to y'all
assumption.
having an amicable relationship,
Yeah,
right?
we cool, we cool, we cool.
The
It,
kids are grown.
took
Y'all
some
y'all co-grandparented and all that, right? Like,
right, exactly. But it took some, and don't get me wrong, people will be people,
right.
and everybody has their own individual thing and their own stuff. So we've had conversations.
Mhm.
We've had real conversations, how uncomfortable they may have been. But at the end of the day, we all had the same goal. What's
Yes.
in the best interest of the kids?
And
Because when things was
that's
all
got
said
to be
and
the
done, it
end.
was like, yeah, it was like, okay, I'm not going nowhere. So this is how I work. And if you're trying to do shenanigans, I don't work that way.
Right.
So it's not happening. Granted, you can try it, but the end result really is going to show you who you are to your children.
You know what's something I had to release, so to speak? when Kayla was younger, and her dad and I had an agreement, like we would do Christmas together, Christmas and birthdays together all the
Hmm.
time.
Right,
Like it
right,
was like, spend a night Christmas Eve and wake so she can wake up, open her presents, like because she don't wake up early any other day.
right.
But Christmas Day,
She up,
that 1, 2 in the morning situation, especially back when she believed in Santa
up
Claus,
in the
honey.
wear, right.
And so I was like, okay, when she had her first couple of Christmases and it was fine. But
Mm,
as we moved into like Christmas number 3, like he was dating, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
that person was like, no.
Mm,
And I was like, but we
hmm.
had an agreement. Like this, you know what I mean? And at the
Right.
time, they
Yeah.
weren't serious, but I was already dating someone and I had said, hey, this is the thing. Now you are welcome to come over and join us.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
her dad is gonna be here, right? And he was
Right.
like, cool. No, like, he was like, I probably will pass. I don't necessarily want to come, but I'll come later. But I don't
Hmm.
necessarily want to be there at 3, 4 in the morning opening up gifts. And he was like, it don't feel comfortable to me yet, right? And we were
And that
new, so
makes
I got
sense.
that. I
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
Um, and so I had to really think about it because I was standing on. We made a promise about this because this was in Kayla's best interest. And now you're changing it, not because you want to, but because you're trying to appease somebody outside of this dynamic, right? We talked about this egg, sperm,
Hmm.
and the result, right? So I'm like,
Hmm.
so you won't come and do, and he was like, so I can't. It ain't gonna work out. And I was angry about that. Like, not like, oh, I want him here, but we made a decision for our child, and now you're changing
Yes.
up. Now, at a certain point, I was just like, you know what? Fine. But I was still like harboring that for a minute. And then a couple of months later, I just had this realization like things are going to change. The dynamic
Yes.
between us has to be fluid, just like raising her has to be fluid. I don't
Right.
have to spoon feed her anymore. I don't have to bottle feed
Right.
her anymore. I can actually just
Right.
put the food there, and as long as I'm in the room making sure she don't choke, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's changing, it's evolving, and it
Hmm.
should. It absolutely
Exactly.
should. So
Exactly.
we still will do, they throw a party, I invite them, I throw the parties, and my parties be extra elaborate, right?
They do. They do.
Listen, y'all, if you
They
ain't never
fun
go,
though.
y'all can go to my
They
Facebook and
fun
look at the
though.
photos. We got parties, okay? But what I realized was like, you know what? It's okay. I can always still invite them. They have the right to
Right.
say no. And when I invite, I'm like,
Right.
it's both of them. Y'all can spend a night. She can sleep in my bed. Y'all can sleep in her bed. She got a queen size. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
gone are the days where, the kids is in a twin until they go to college,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So she,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? It's enough for 2 adults in
Hmm.
there. And so it's
Right.
like, she can sleep in my bed. I got to have a king because, she sleeps sideways and, like, it's, no, I need you
Right.
to be able to have your own space.
You're playing
But,
Tetris. Hmm.
right,
Yes.
right. But at the end of the day, I had to realize he's not obligated to keep that. He gets to maneuver based on the life he has chosen. And
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
get to
right.
demand that he stay in this spot because that's what we agreed on before either of us was in a relationship.
Relationship. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
relationships
And
change things. Now, it should not
right.
change core principle things. It shouldn't change. Like, if
Yes.
we don't whoop our daughter. So
Hmm.
you're not going to date somebody, or I'm not going to date somebody that's going to come in and say, oh, no, she need a whooping. No, no, no.
Right.
No, no, no. You know, said,
Right.
like, we got core things. If she
Right.
need a
Yeah.
spanking, it'll come from me or her dad. You don't get to do it, sir, ma'am.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So
Right.
having those core things was important, but it wasn't
Yes.
easy for me to make that adjustment just within
Yes.
myself. But at the
Yes.
end of the day,
Yes.
Kayla didn't care. Like, she like, I get
Right.
two houses of gifts. Like,
Exactly. Gonna say, don't be trying to mess up my perks, okay? But let's be real. That's what the kids want, and it's totally understandable. But
absolutely.
something that I want people to make sure they heard you say is the aspect of it wasn't easy,
Mhm.
but it was, I mean, gave it some time, but able to
Right. It took a
understand
couple of
that it
months. Like
should,
I think I was bitter till like March.
and I'm mad that you know the month. However, I'm glad that you have the
It
moment
may have been
of
May.
reflection, okay? But that allowed you to understand it, but also just kind of set your feelings aside. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
that was. And acknowledging, okay, the same way, like, she 12, she's not eating baby food. The same way that the transitioning, the adjusting, the fluidity of it all.
Yes.
That's what parenting is, you know.
Yes.
And within that, the same way if you guys were together or not, adjustments are made all the time, or they should be. It doesn't mean that they are, but
Right.
adjustments should be made frequently, as things arise, like the things in life that no one has control over or don't expect, they happen. So within that, yes, adjustments should be made accordingly. Once again, that's in the best interest of the child, not what you want to do, not based off
Right.
what you feeling, what's in the best interest of the child. So you kind of hit on some specific things, and we kind of hit on it, but the co-parenting relationship,
Mm-hmm.
if you're dating someone who has children, I would say you would need to know what that co-parenting relationship looks like, because you may feel uncomfortable with it, and there's no right or wrong about it. It's more so being real with yourself. Am I
Yes.
okay in the way in which the person I'm pursuing interacts, co-parents with the mother, with the father? And if you feel any inkling of then you need to call it a wrap. You need to,
Or check yourself, like, because it's not always
oh,
about ending it. Sometimes you got to go, why do
well,
I feel this way? Like,
I would
what did
say
I
this.
not see, or what? I'm gonna be honest, because I was going. So I've heard, well, so and so doesn't like the fact that you guys communicate at all.
Right?
Like,
What are they supposed to do? Have osmosis? Like, how does that work? I don't understand. Like, what? I
right, you know
don't.
what I mean? And I'm just like, why would I shade the father of my child simply because you're uncomfortable? Like, check
Exactly.
yourself, because that's not about me
Yes.
and him. That's about
Right. That's a
you
you.
and
Yeah, I
your
call that's a you
inability.
thing. Yes.
Right, because that's all I know. Like I said, my parents were cool the whole time. And then after we got a certain age, which was
Mm-hmm.
18, like they, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Again,
So
that's
they
as far
held it.
as
The
we
good
know.
job, parents. They held it together.
Now listen, because Miss
Despite.
Pam can hold a grudge, baby, and you don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Miss Pam is but listen, my mom would be smiling and she just as sweet as she
She
could
do.
be.
She is.
But
Now
on
I
the
gotta go back and
inside,
check in. If
honey.
I okay, okay. How is the inside?
And I love that about my mother, because I've seen my mom when they were together. I saw my parents have a whole argument in the car. Honey, they stepped out. She grabbed his hand, and they was in stride. And nobody knew that they were having an argument. That's why I don't argue in public, because I did not see that in public. I saw,
You
when we
shouldn't.
get out this car, we are a united front. And they
United
kept
front.
that. They
Yeah.
kept that.
Yeah.
Even as, things
Yeah.
were going crazy, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember that my parents never showed us if contention the word, that I don't think that's the word. They
Oh,
never
that's
showed
me.
us that they had that they had
I'll
any
be making
type
them
of
up as I go.
animosity toward
Sorry.
one another. So when I'm interacting with my daughter's father, I don't care how upset I might be. Okay, all right, all right, and I might be shorter. You understand what I'm saying? But I do my best
Yeah.
that my daughter never sees that. Even if I'm
Mm-hmm.
angry, even if he did something like right before she walked up, I'm gonna put on my smile, because I don't need to impress my feelings on her, because I never want
Right.
her to feel anything but
Oh,
love and an admiration toward
right.
her father.
Right. Right.
Now I don't feel
And
like
that's
that toward him, but I don't want her to
but
not feel that way.
right. And so that speaks of the fact of just the impact on the children.
Right.
So kids are influenced, impacted. Just imagine they're a sponge. If they're not
Mhm.
being watered, they're gonna dry the hell out. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
If you
Facts.
overwater them, that's a whole other situation. So, but
Drought or
with that,
drown. Those are
right,
options.
right. Then you got mold and that. Anyways, but anyways, you know what I'm saying, okay? You get what I'm saying. But within that, though, I mean, there's many factors that need to be taken into consideration, but also there's that aspect of how is what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, what I'm saying, what I'm not saying, how I'm looking, how I'm not looking, because we can have a whole conversation with no words.
Mm-hmm.
How is that impacting the children?
Right.
And let's be honest, you gotta like them. You have to like the kids. Yeah, I'm sorry. You
Yes.
can't. Oh, he all right. Oh, he get on my nerve, because it's going to come out.
Right. And
You
how you treat them, your microaggressions.
you you have to like all of them. Okay,
Yes.
all of them, because that's a part of your spouse or the person, or soon to be spouse, but the person you're dating. So
Right.
what you do, what you say, like I said, it impacts the children. It makes a difference, because now it's like, it's just not you and the person you're dating, it's you, him or her, and his or her children.
Yes.
You're dating the
And it's
family.
not fair. It's not fair to those children for you to
Yes.
marry their parent and you don't like them.
Yes. Even if it's just one of them, okay? You have to
Right.
like them. You gotta like
All,
them all.
all the kids.
All of them, okay? All
So
of them.
Danielle, what do you think was something that was pivotal in your decision to move forward with your husband? I almost said his name. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
uh,
I appreciate it.
what was that pivotal thing that you were like, you know what? Okay, now I know for sure I can move forward without worrying about him dipping back, without worrying about
Yeah, that's a good
if I'm
question.
replaceable, if she, if she still want him. Like what was the
Right,
thing that made you go,
right.
okay, yeah, this is cool.
I would say that there were, I don't want to say many, but there was a good handful of all of our interactions. All of us being in one space, in one place. Um, Not all the time, but like different events. Kids have games, they have dance, they have cheer, football. I mean,
Right.
you name it. Then there's holidays. And so just seeing what their dynamic was, it's
Hmm.
one thing to have your spouse or your um, significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, tell you. There's a difference between them telling you and you seeing it, and seeing
Right.
how you feel with what that looks like. You know what I mean? It also, and everybody being in one place, a kid go slip up. Okay, so
Yeah.
I was not very observant. Now, anybody slipping up and what's going on, I'm an observant person. Okay, just by nature, even before being a therapist. So I'm taking my mental notes. All right. So I'm seeing, is there consistency when we all get together? Is there consistency of how is everybody acting?
Right.
There any weirdness and feeling they saying can't say certain stuff, and because you can tell with the with the kids.
Right. Absolutely,
And
you
so,
can.
and then there was the aspects of parenting that occurred within that year, that me and my husband were dating. How was that handled? Those over the phone moments, and then those in person moments. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I would say that we had, or I would say I was able to be a part of in our decision making points.
Hmm.
Um, and what I'm speaking in regards to now was not what it was then, because a lot of growth has happened since then. And I'll say that because there were aspects of things that my husband would do or say, and I was like, I don't roll like that,
Right.
and he had to check himself. And the other, we don't do that over here.
Right.
So,
And
and
I
then
think that
even
that's
for me,
important because you were like, hey, you communicated this that don't work for me. And then you gave him that, because I think a lot of times we'd be like, well, then y'all just got to break up. No, like you gave him the opportunity and the time that he needed to
right,
process
right,
what you said, identify that
yes,
in him, make the correction, and then
right,
play out. Like that's,
right,
for the
right,
people that be like marriage goals and then y'all couples be breaking up in 3 days. So I just want to point that
right.
out. Like there's a process.
No, it is. And then also in regard, and then aspects of me, you know, because you know who my mom is, and how I'm programmed. So that it's still a work in progress. I've come a long way though, but a long, long way. However,
In
that was an
strides. So you
investment.
done made strides,
Girl,
baby.
girl, hurdles and all. But with that, I knew for me that that wasn't that like that was a me thing. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I knew that
That level of
how
accountability.
right how I was I say trained, parented as a child. That is not everybody's functioning level.
Yes.
Nor did I want to parent me as me being a parent that way either. So that was stuff that I needed to work on. So, and then within the time frame and just life just happening, that within the various nuances of it all and things happening in real time and seeing the raw, the real, that is what really made me feel confident, in staying in a relationship with him and accepting his proposal because of that, and he's down for his family, whether he's
Yes.
with the parent of the child or not, he's taking care of his family.
Yes. So shout out to therapist Danielle's husband. Not gonna say his name, but shout out to him because he's just an upstanding guy. I love him. I love him. Now, as I'm navigating this space,
Yes. Share
there
on
is
that,
diarrhea in the dating pool.
I
Diarrhea and
heard.
COVID and bleach, but not for the purpose of cleaning. They just adding bleach for the purpose of
Just
poisoning.
adding it.
Uh,
Adding.
listen, right now, uh, it's been a couple of months, right?
Mm,
And I'm gonna tell you, I've met some amazing gentlemen, right? Like just like some
okay.
good guys that have been friend zoned on some level. And then,
Okay.
so there were a couple of, you have an interest in, but that's the whole purpose of dating. But I've met
Right.
so there was a gentleman who was just like, not for real. Like, what you mean you talking to other guys? Sir, we've been on the phone 20 seconds. I don't, I don't understand.
Red flag. Flag
So,
on the
but listen,
play.
so this was a whole
Flag
red
on the
flag
play.
conversation. But
Oh
the
my
coach
goodness.
in me lets things play out, right? Because my brain is going, what are they thinking? How are they feel? Like I want to know. So
Right.
it was another 10 seconds. So now we 30 seconds in, and he said, "Can
Okay.
I spoil you?" I said, "Well, what did that look like? I need
What
to
does
know what
that
that means."
mean?
And he
Yes.
said, "Well, I want to be able to buy you gifts and just do everything that you want me to do because I want to make sure that you don't leave me." So
I
now
would
we at the
immediately
50
hung
second
up the
mark.
phone.
We at the 50
Yeah, I would
second
have just
mark.
hung up the phone. The line disconnected. It
I know,
disconnected.
but I had a long drive, so I had time. I
Okay. Well, that'll keep
was
you
like,
awake. All
I got
right.
another 35 minutes on this drive. Let me Danielle, what I tell you, dude was like, I just, I want to make sure that you know. I said, well, I don't understand. What do you mean? Like, and he said, well, I'll buy you gifts so you know what you mean to me and let you know that I value you. I said, yeah, but I don't value me via gifts. I don't value relationships based on the gifts I receive. I value act right. That's what I
Right.
value.
Right. Right. Do you know what that
I
is? It was a follow-up
listen
question.
because I've never been one to be like you have to provide these things. Like
Mhm,
ladies, I know y'all like to tussle. I'm just saying that's never been my thing. I always have my
mhm.
own, right?
Same
But
here.
I just didn't understand that. And as the conversation got weirder and weirder, I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and block you while we on this phone call.
Correct, because that is
Like,
an option.
what
It is. It does work.
the hell? Right. And here's the thing, because it was just, okay, you want to spoil me, but not because you want to take care of your woman. You want to spoil me because you want to obligate me. That doesn't work. Doesn't work. Like, please understand.
Because with the word that flashed in front of the screen that y'all did not see, control, control, control.
Right.
That's what that was. That's what that was. That's what that looks. That's what that sounds like. Okay, just for those, that's a whole nother conversation with a therapist. However, for those who thought like, oh, or in your head or out loud as she was speaking, no, that is a unhealthy relationship. Just so you know and label it correctly. Mm-hmm.
Listen, I've had a gentleman tell me how me owning my own company is me operating in masculine energy.
Mm.
Explain what masculine energy is.
Yeah.
You're doing things that men would do, like go to work.
Right.
So if you want an independent woman that you don't have to take care of, but you don't want her to be taking care of herself, does that mean that there should always be another man in place to take care of? Like, can you explain that? Because as a woman who is providing for me and my daughter, yeah, her
Mm-hmm.
father helps to provide for her, but he don't provide for me. I got to be able to eat too, like just FYI. And I have a responsibility to provide half of her food. So I got to be able to do those things. But apparently me owning a company meant that I was too masculine. And I'm looking in the mirror like, shoot, I think I look very feminine, but okay, right? And
You
then,
do.
listen, I mean, I'm not
Oh my
even,
goodness.
I was going to say something, but it was going to get us
Yes, I'm glad you caught
boycotted.
it.
Yeah, right.
Catch it. All right. We might even need to talk about something else because it's gonna slip out. So with all that, the children's feelings, the co-parenting relationship that already exists outside of you,
Right.
um the new role, if you will, because
Uh-huh.
you will play a role whether you like it or not, um the timing of it all, um communications in general, and granted, and there's more and more and more. I'm just trying to put it
Right.
all, compile it
Put it
all
all
together, because we
together.
kind of talked about, and then just the flexibility, because you may have something planned with your boo, and guess what, something happened, you got to go get the kids.
Yep.
So the flexibility of it all, those things, along with a few others I can't remember offhand, you have to be honest with yourself when you're dating someone or thinking about dating someone with children,
Yes.
and have those difficult and uncomfortable conversations for everybody's sake, to be honest, because it'd be
Facts.
wasting people's time, including yours.
So that's it. When dating somebody's kids,
Yes.
be mature, be open,
Yes. Be
respect
honest.
the other parent, respect those children. And if you can't, move on.
Yes.
That's the
Respectfully.
synopsis. Right.
No shade. No shade
Respectfully.
whatsoever. Yeah, respectfully. That's just what it is.
Maturity is not common. I could tell you that. We are
That is not.
the Real on Parenting. Give us your thoughts on this show. Drop us an email
Yes.
at
The
the
real
Real
on
on
parenting at gmail.com. Just our name. The real on
I was
parenting at
flowing and then I was like, blank.
gmail.com. Right.
Give us your name. Share your story with us. We would love to hear it.
Yes.
And we'll talk to y'all soon.
All
Right
right.
here on Cityscape Radio. We appreciate you for tuning in. Love y'all. Bye.